All right, we're live. So it says, I apologize for Friday night's Zoom meeting, but we were at a bed and breakfast, and I gotta tell you, the internet was so bad that I could not get anything on. Hey, Daniel, let's see what we got going here. What do we got happening here? There we are. Pick this up. Can you guys hear me all right? I need to see if we got the right audio on here. Let's see, we got speaker, Realtek, Mevo, Yeti. All right, there we go. I got the right mic on now. I've got to get a boom for this thing, but it should be able to hear me okay. Checking one, two. And tonight I'm going to work on this airplane while we're streaming. I ended up getting some xylene today. Let me get that up. Let's pop that out. I ended up getting xylene and I mixed up some of my very own DC 540. I'm going to test this out. I'm not going to test it out tonight, but I'll do it tomorrow. I had bought a gallon of lacquer primer, and the formula for the primer was 1.5 to 1. So I took some of this peanut butter and I put it down in this jar, and I mixed 50%, 100%. It's doubled its weight with xylene, and then I added lacquer thinner. So we got another half time. So it's 1.5 to 1. And I just used the clean strip lacquer thinner. I didn't use dope thinner because the clean strip's hotter, and I'm not worried about it not blushing, so it should be fine. But tonight I will go ahead and brush on another coat of dope, and that'll be the last coat that's brushed on. Let's see here. Go to this camera. There we are. Hopefully somebody comes in. I do apologize, but when I lost internet, it just kicked everybody out. Not much I could do about it. I need to get some more lacquer thinner in that. I didn't do any flying this week. I judged the contest. I think I picked the right winners. Doug Moon was first, Richard Oliver was second, and Jared Hayes was third. And Jared put on a pretty nice flight. Other than being 64 or 5 ounces, this thing is going to be a pretty nice airplane. Well, hopefully somebody will come in and talk to me. I hope they do. Hey, there we go. Hey, Doc.
How you doing there?
Good.
Plane's looking good.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's going to be a little heavy, but
How much do you estimate it would weigh?
64 probably.
How many square inches is it?
I don't know, about close to 700.
64 won't be bad. It shouldn't be anyway. Where'd you pick up the weight? That fuselage is light enough.
Home wing. It's just heavy.
Oh, okay. I forgot that had the foam wing in it. One thing about them, though, they stay nice and straight. The airfoils are true.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I'm going to be able to do a nice finish on it because it's all solid wood, you know.
Right. So how was the contest you were at? Everything go okay?
Yeah, I had a great time. I didn't fly, I judged.
Okay.
I was the reigning champion. Doug Moon took my championship from me.
Well, he's pretty good, so
Yeah. He'd have done better if he wasn't flying 3 foot off the ground. I told him
uh,
that.
did you tell him that?
Oh yeah. He had some pretty good numbers, but I couldn't give him super good numbers because he was on the ground.
Yeah. Back in the old days, the closer you could fly to the ground and not crash, the higher your score was. But then they didn't follow well, they didn't have that much in the rules at that time anyway. Well, Madman Yates would be doing a close to 100 miles an hour and pull out of the reverse wing over at about 1.5 feet.
It looks cool, but it ain't the rules.
Yeah. How much have you thinned that dope down?
Yeah, this seems to be a little thick. Uh, I try to start out about 60% thinner, but I think I added some dope to this and it's kind of thick. But that's
Yeah.
all right.
When you're brushing it, you want it to to be able to smooth out before it sets, as you well know.
Oh, yeah. Well, this gets all sanded off anyway. I just want to fill everything.
Uh-huh.
Wonder if old Joe Goober to come in. He gave me a ride in his airplane. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? Which one?
I don't know what, I can't remember. RB something, RB9 or whatever.
Oh, that's a nice airplane. Fast, too. Well, I hope he's in too. I've got some stuff I want to show him.
I'm sure I messaged him back and I think they were out at the field, so I don't know when he'll be in, but
Yeah.
them guys stayed out to the field till midnight, it seemed like, talking.
Yeah. Well, that's as much a social club as an airplane club out there in Tulsa.
Oh yeah. You been to Joe's hangar?
No.
That's pretty cool to go there. He got three. Joe owns three airplanes.
Uh-huh.
He got a chipmunk and I don't know, some other type thing that he built, high wing performance airplane, RB9.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really aviation minded, that's for sure.
Well, he grew up out there at the airport.
Well, he knows his stuff too.
It was funny. I got back down on the ground and said, "Did he get sick?" No, I don't think so.
You got your normal hinges on there, the little pocket hinges?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have to worry about the dope getting in those and at all, or is they pretty well stay free?
They'll stay free. I take this brush here, watch the hinge right there, load that in there, no problem.
Oh, okay.
No problem.
How you doing, Stuart?
Hey there, John. Hey, Sparky, how's things going?
Well, better. We got a stream tonight.
Yeah, and a pretty decent bandwidth, it looks like. Not like what you were fighting the last time.
Friday was terrible.
Yeah, well, I got on and nobody's there, and I remember you said you might not be uh, doing it because you're at the contest. So I went back to what I was doing when I when I checked it was after Denny made a notation and online about there won't be any after party because you were having troubles with the. Oh wow! I should have gone back and checked.
Well, what happened is they have some type of 5G internet there, and everybody was on their phone, and then they turned the TV on at the same time that I was using the stream, and it just sucked the bandwidth out and killed the stream.
Hmm.
And my
That's
and my hotspot, should I couldn't hardly connect out at the field nor at the bed and breakfast. There's just no cell tower. There's Steve.
how you doing, Steve? Thank you, Steve. Well, I guess I've been listening to the news on the is it Helena or whatever that hurricane's name was. I guess it really tore them up in the southeast.
Yeah, it was, especially once it moved inland, it was a lot of rain and flooding
Yeah, I heard
and
that.
power
I,
outages.
yeah, I heard that one of the rivers in Georgia was 28 feet above flood.
Hmm,
It took all the houses and everything out completely. They're gone.
Wow.
That's a sad thing.
yeah,
And with the phones out and that, nobody can get in contact with each other. So right now there's over 600 people missing.
wow,
So
yeah.
yeah, I talked to one of the guys that flies with Phil, and he says in their area they're kind of a little higher than that, and uh, even their airfield didn't get too bad. It's because it's on the side of the hill where they fly. So
My little dog doesn't like it when I sit at the computer.
my white cat doesn't like it. He comes up and pushes my keyboard off the desk and then
Oh
lays down
my.
right in the middle, or he'll stand up and I can't see the screen.
Still going to Wicks tomorrow, Bob?
I don't know. Chris has got projects for me. Why? What's up?
Oh, just curious. Tell everybody how we got soaked on Friday trying to pack up and get out of town.
No, I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, had to get Bob's trailer into the alley so we could hook it up to my truck and pack stuff, and it was raining.
Oh boy.
Took us till we got almost I guess almost past Rolla before it started clearing up.
Yeah, once we got out of Missouri, it turned nice.
Yeah. And then Mark and Dan were left later than we did, and they got stuck in a 2-hour traffic stoppage on I-44. There was a big accident, and a truck lost its load and material, and uh, fuel was all over the highway. They had to clean it up. So it was
Wow.
just a parking lot for 2 hours.
Wow. I gotta ask Sparky. Sparky, what kind of brush are you using? Is that a 1-inch camel hair?
That's a 1-inch sign painter's single stroke sign painting brush.
Okay, is it like, so I noticed the way it was working. Is it similar to a camel's hair brush? You know, like,
Yeah, but I think it's squirrel hair or something, I don't know
yeah,
what.
Oh my.
it,
I have to tell my wife about that if there's squirrel hair brushes. She hates the squirrels around here. They get into her plants and dig things up.
It's a $30 brush opposed to a $3 brush.
yeah. Oh, I was noticing the way the bristles are working. I could tell it was a good brush.
And once we got to down to Tulsa, it was windy. Oh man, was it windy Friday. But a couple of brave souls got flights in late before the sun went down. And then Saturday morning it was okay, but the wind kicked up pretty quick. But I think we managed to get most of the most, if not all, of the events in on Saturday morning before the wind got too bad. And Sunday was headed in the same direction, but we were done, what, by 11 o'clock, I think?
When? On Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday,
Yeah,
11:30, I think, somewhere around there.
we went 22 flights. Right
Yeah,
straight.
yeah, you had 11 experts. So you did 2 rounds back to back. So Bob, I wasn't over there because I was doing advanced. Did they still have mostly internal combustion? I know there were a few electrics, but
There was a few electrics, but 90% IC.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, IC still has a good secure spot in the hobby or in the sport right now.
It ain't going anywhere.
No, it'll always be around. But
You know what? We only had one mishap. One engine quit. You know what that was?
What?
Electric.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he either forgot to change the battery or some other electrical type problem, which can happen.
It just goes to show you that neither one of them is 100% foolproof.
You're right. You're right. Nothing's 100% reliable.
That's right. Speaking of electric motors, I just bought one. Robert Compton, I think, put up a badass 3515, which just happens to, and they're 950 kilovolt. But it just happens to be the size that motor that I plan on putting in my Trailblazer electric, and price was good, so I bought it.
Is that a 60 size plane?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a 60 size profile.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that should be a good motor for it.
Yeah, I would think so.
Did you get the top side all covered there, Bob?
Yeah, I think so. Wait a second. Flip it over and do the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Stuart's working on something, but we can't see it. And he's muted.
Yeah,
Looks
I'm
like,
gonna sign out for a bit and I'll come back in later maybe.
oh, okay. It looked like you were in your shop, so.
Yeah, I am. I gotta do some stuff, but we'll get back to you.
All right. See you later.
All right.
We'll be here. Gary Sinclair's there.
Hey,
Gary.
Gary.
Yep, we're here. Finally.
He tried to take over for me.
He did. I looked. I pulled down the version off of YouTube and watched it just to see. That's how come I know what happened.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that 5G internet's no good.
Yeah.
They turned the TV on and it knocked it right out.
Yeah, I wondered what happened.
Well, I got 5 guys with phones going and my computer, and then they turn on the TV, and that thing like dial up that 5G stuff. One like cable.
I figured maybe since it was because it was so slow, when you went to put Dennis on, why you turned it off maybe before it got connected to Dennis. I didn't know.
Well, when you change over like that, does it actually go off of what his bandwidth is? You know, the new guys, or what, how's that work?
Well, it has nothing to do with the bandwidth, my bandwidth or whatever. You're not on my bandwidth. You're on your bandwidth. But I tried to switch over and the bandwidth was so slow that I couldn't switch it over. It just dropped.
Okay. So the limiting factor then was your bandwidth at the location you were at,
Right. I couldn't get it switched over.
right?
Yeah.
So, but had you been able to switch it over, then it would have,
Been
it
fine.
would have bypassed it. It wouldn't have been a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
That's what I figured happened too. It's just
Yeah,
But I
Right.
wasn't even going to do it. And I thought, well, we're here and we have internet, so let's give it a try. And it didn't work. So
well, you tried. What the heck?
Yeah.
Can't do much more than that. Well, Steve, it looks like you're holding on to a little old lady with the, all you can see the white top of her white hair there.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's all
Oh,
tucked
look at her
in.
all snuggled up.
Yeah, he missed me. I was gone for 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a happy dog right now.
Mm-hmm. And you should have seen him when I got home.
He'd turn himself inside out, I bet.
Oh yeah. And then he went running around the backyard.
Uh-huh.
Every once in a while he'll get the zoomies and he'll run all around the yard, back out.
He's got to have his exercise, you know.
Yeah, well, he usually gets that chasing squirrels, but
See, there's another good use of squirrels. You give the dog
Mhm.
exercise, and
Yeah.
you can make paint brushes out of it.
Yeah.
I bet you if we put our heads together, we could come up with maybe a dozen more good uses for squirrels. I bet they'd be great given a massage.
You ever see a red squirrel?
Oh yeah,
ever seen an albino squirrel?
yes I
Yeah.
have.
No, I haven't.
Pure white. I got a movie on my phone. I was over. They got one lives across the street from Dan Winship's house.
Huh. How about that?
Pure white.
No, I didn't know there were red ones till I went to Springfield, Illinois one time. And they're all over the place there.
I've also seen a flying squirrel. You ever seen one of them?
Rocky.
Not
Wait a minute, ball wiggle. Oops, wrong hat. Yeah, I didn't know they had them in Alaska, but they have flying squirrels up there. These big gray squirrels up there. And I'm bet they got another variety, but I don't remember what it was. California got these big gray squirrels, man. They're big.
Hmm. Bob was telling me about his family's pet roadrunner
Yep. Roger the Roadrunner.
when he was in California growing up.
Used to eat green Friskies cat food.
A couple road runners at Tucson at the mini stunt championships. The V1 sometimes come out on that one field there, one was the 1-2, the new one that kind of went to hell, the new circle.
Well, if you got Roadrunners, you got no rattlesnakes, because that's the only enemy of a rattlesnake.
King snakes. King snakes will kill them and eat them.
Kill Roadrunners?
No, rattlesnakes.
Well,
they're a constrictor, like a boa constrictor.
Roadrunner.
Um,
Roadrunner just pecks his head.
Yeah.
They eat him.
Yeah.
We had this Tom Siamis lived across the street from the bar. We had the Roadrunner. We had little field mice, whatever. So anyway, this guy calls my dad and says, "Dick, you got to come over and get your cat." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Your cat's in the back humping a skunk." Sure enough, there was Charlie after a skunk.
Skunk must have enjoyed it because if she didn't fire off,
Well, skunk is a cat. Cat
close to it. Yeah.
And Charlie kind of looked like him. He was black and white. He looked like a skunk in a way.
Reminds me of all the old cartoons with
Pepe Le Pew.
yeah, Pepe
Pepe
Le
Le Pew
Pew.
with Felix the cat, not Felix the cat, but Tom the cat with Tom and Jerry.
Oh yeah.
They painted him up. He wound up trying to get the best of Jerry, and Jerry got him down, and they painted him up like a skunk.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's back when cartoons were funny.
Yeah.
Now they try to make you think. If I'd want to think, I'd read a book. Well, I sure hope Joe Gilbert shows up because he expressed great interest in that tandem twin. And so I started doing some work on it. The first thing I did before I decided to do before I went very far on any work on it was find out where it actually balances. So I did a summing of the moments on it. And son of a gun, if I didn't have to stretch the nose out 3 inches.
Oh wow.
So, but it's better to find out before anything's cut,
Mm-hmm.
because if I'd have built it like it was, it's got the engine behind is part of the problem, because you got that way, even though it's got it stuff tied up to where it's practically right against the flaps, the flap there, as close as I can get it to the CG, it still hasn't, because of its weight, it has enough effect that that nose had to be 3 inches longer. Actually, looks stretched out, but it doesn't look bad. And then he wanted it has a raised, the stab and elevators up higher. What I try to do is where my radius for my flap horn is, I try to make it where the flap to elevator horn connects. I try to make that a straight line if possible, because then you only have to have a 90-degree and lean forward on there, and the elevator is straight 90 degrees. You got no problems. So I did that first, and I like the looks, but Joe says, "Oh, you lower that stab and elevator down." So I lowered it down to an inline, total inline, everything, both motors and the stab and elevator, and everything's all inline. And it actually doesn't look bad at all. So
Well, you doing that? You doing that in CAD, John?
yeah. That's what I like. Well, what the heck? You guys want to see it?
I'd like to see it. I haven't seen it. If you've shown it
Yeah.
before, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Can we share it, Robert?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me. Is it up there yet?
Coming.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, this is before I lengthen the nose out 3 inches.
Oh, so it's a front and rear engine.
Yeah, it's a tandem twin.
Push me, pull
Ah,
you.
Yeah, push me, pull me.
Mhm.
Okay, and this is actually, I'll lower it just a little bit to get this line from here to be a straight line back to for the elevator. But this is what it started out as, and I have I had one that I tried to go the lower aspect ratio stab and elevator right there. Did that come up?
yes.
But I don't like the looks of that. It looks like a pancake flopping around back there. In my opinion, I just don't like it. So when I got to, here's how I figured the summing of the moments. Here's the CG right here. That's the fulcrum. Anything, any combination of numbers on going towards the front is a positive number. Anything going from the CG to the aft is a negative number. And it's real simple. For instance, you measure the distance from the CG here to, I try to make a good solid estimate on center of mass for the spinner and the prop and estimated the weight to be 2 ounces. And then it turned out to be, I think it's 11 ounces and something, 11 inches, 11 inches plus. And so what you do is you multiply the weight of the object by the length that it is from the CG, and you get an answer in what's called inch ounces.
Hmm.
And then you add them all together. You do the next one, so it's x times y plus x sub 1 times y sub 1, and then the next one sub 2, and then sub 3, and then sub 4. Now you got a big number in the hundreds or more. And then you start doing the same thing going back, like this is 1.609, and the weight is 3.9 ounces for the landing gear and the wheels assembly. And so you come out with an answer there in negative inch ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So you subtract that number from the sum of the number you got here. And then you do the next one and you subtract that. And when you get all done with all these numbers, if you got a positive number, then you are nose heavy because it's got weight toward the positive side. If you got a negative number, you're tail heavy, and you can figure out how much weight you got to put up in the front to balance it as it is, or how far you have to move things. And that's what I did, is I wound up first moved it an inch, then 2 inches, then 2.5, 2 3/4, and 3, and came up with, when I got done, I came up with, let me get the next one up here. Came up with there.
Pretty.
Okay, it came up now. And so here's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about, that push rod being flat, dead centered,
Mm-hmm.
going, and that keeps whatever your ratio between your flaps and your elevator. Like I like to run about 26 to 28 degrees of flap at full. And I like to have like 34 to 36 or thereabouts on the elevator. Anyway, but if that line is straight, that means this is at 9 degrees, that's at 9 degrees, and it'll stay relative. You won't have, if you got them off, you might have 26 degrees up and down on the flap, but you might have 34 degrees one way and 37 degrees the other way on the elevator if it's off like that. And that makes trimming tough.
Yeah.
But this just 3 inches added to the nose. I moved the main gear back a little. And I wound up, because I don't like even scraping the prop
Mm.
for landing. So I've got that so that it just clears the prop. And that's at 10 degrees. So it's got to be 10 degrees of angle of attack before it's going to hit this subfin here. So, okay, so I did that and I liked it, but I thought, okay, well, I know that, let's see here. I know that Joe wanted to see what would happen. We go here and that's no what. Well, that little thing up the top is interfering with me. I can't get to the tab that I want to get to right up. No, it's right under that part there. Well, let me go a different way. I'll drop this and then bring it up by itself on the next screen. So I'm gonna stop for a minute and be right back.
Yeah, Sparky.
Okay, so there's the inline.
We see a white page.
Yeah, nothing on that one.
Really? Okay, let me get.
There's Joe Gilbert.
Joe's
Hey,
in the
there
house.
he is.
Hey,
Long time no see, Joe.
oh, it's a good seeing y'all. It was a great weekend for me.
It was a great weekend for us too. I think we all had a good time.
Well,
Let me guess, Joe took home all the trophies again.
No,
No, he was running the contest.
Oh,
It was in Tulsa. It was his show.
it's a
I might
Blue
have-
Dauber show, man. That Blue
Yeah.
Dauber show.
On beautiful Reeves Field. That place is amazing.
it looked good this past weekend. Boy, you can tell you weren't in Carolina.
Oh man.
Man, it's you guys got it bad out there.
Did you get a
kidding.
deluge, Phil?
Oh God, it rained so hard the wipers couldn't keep up.
Mm.
It was ridiculous, and it's been doing that on and off for 2 or 3 days. But we're in good shape in Winston. I mean, we got limbs down. We got a little bit of flooding, but Asheville, North Carolina, is up in the mountains where you would think it ain't gonna flood. Right, 100 dead and 600 missing.
Wow.
It's terrible.
And the I-40 is washed out the other side of Statesville all the way to Asheville. That's over 100 miles.
Mm.
It's busted up in places all the way up through. It's closed from Statesville all the way up. The state is in what I call a Melvahess.
Yeah.
John, are you gonna build that one?
Yeah, I intend to. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was something you were just playing with in CAD or if you were gonna actually build it.
Is it up now?
No.
No, you're up right now.
Yeah, it's just us.
I think Joe needs to build that one.
Well,
I'll run down Tulsa and fly.
I wanted to show this to Joe. Joe, for some reason or other, I can't get back into the sharing on this. Let me shut it.
Everybody up here is wanting to build one of your designs. Everybody's wanting a different one, but
Yeah,
Oh, that's all right.
I'm working on one and going to finish it and try another one. Tommy's gotten interested in one. Kermit's interested in the bike, and oh God, Steve's interested. So I can't remember what Steve's interested in. Anyway, everybody's interested in one.
Well, that's great. Kermit's got his bike.
He's got the plans. Yeah, Kermit got the plans and gave sets to some of them. I don't know, and I got them to Kermit, and Kermit printed them and distributed them. And I think everybody's working on it.
Well, and Buddy got the
Buddy Barbie's working on. He's got the ones to Little Plane. He's interested in that one. And my Buddy's great guns, man. He's determined to build that little thing. So
Well,
everybody's
run that
interested in
pipe.
building. Do what?
I run that pipe, Sparky.
yeah, you told me.
Did you get
Oh,
your full
son.
wave?
Uh-huh.
Did you get-
Yes.
How'd it do?
It's not perfect yet, but I think they're for real, Phil.
Oh, I do too. After seeing that one at the Nats, I do too. That thing just sounded different and made power everywhere.
I ran 2 different props, and one of them was beeping. But I did about 6 vertical 8s in a row and just kept looking at things. How's it do that? How's it do that? How's it do that? It just climb up there, bringing home the baby bumblebees. Won't my mama be so proud of me? It was really patient.
That's
Really
cool.
patient.
You
I've
know,
heard the power band on them is much broader.
the fellow that I know that really knows about pipes is local flyer here. Well, he won the nationals, I think, once as a junior, Norm Whittle. And he studied up on pipes and actually had some pipes made here in Utah, full wave, setups. So if you know him, you might want to just drop him a line.
That may be these.
Could
no,
be. No,
It's not
No.
his design.
no.
I think these are built by what's his name there? Tribble.
Dave Tribble.
ES Composites is what Doug Moons is.
Yeah, that was one at McDonald's. Or,
ES Composites.
okay.
Edward Sam Composites.
Where's he out of?
I don't know. So I saw when I was talking to Doug, I saw a web page is all. Internet was bad. I mean, really bad.
Talking about Friday night, it sucked.
Yeah.
I could see Sparky and Gary on there. I tried to send them a message 4 different times. Evidently, they never got it because I didn't get anything out of them. I finally gave up and said, "Well, I'm going to bed. Heck with this."
I got frustrated.
Well, you didn't have any bandwidth at all, apparently.
No, nothing.
No.
Like
Hey,
dial-up.
Joe,
Yes.
when this is over, if you bring it up and go back to the beginning, I just did a bunch of stuff on that tandem twin.
I'll
Go
look
ahead,
at
bring it up.
Bring it up again?
Yeah.
yeah, bring it up.
Okay. Joe, you remember what it looked like? I had to
Yeah, I
add
remember.
to the nose when I summed the moments.
Uh-huh.
But I did do something. Bring this one up first.
He done went and got crazy with it. He got down, got funky.
What do you think?
It's a white
see.
piece of paper.
It's a white piece of paper.
Why
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Hold
It
on.
doesn't want to show.
It's got the name at the top, 2 for the show, but that's all we got.
Yeah, that's what I changed the name to.
I like it.
Let me see.
Sellout 2.0.
That could work
Only
too.
only airplane that had a problem this weekend was electric.
Yeah, you're gonna rub that in. Wasn't
That's
my
all right.
electric, but
That's all right. I fly both. I ain't worried about it.
And
I
and
flew-
the guy who had the problem was no novice either. It was Frank.
McMillan,
Yes.
what kind of problem do you have?
Yeah, quit.
Upside down.
yeah,
Upside down and quit.
I think he forgot.
Not that pretty blue and white twin.
No,
He did.
It was
He
a-
had a new battery in it. It was some other problem,
Oh,
electrical connection or something.
What people won't seem to understand, and I've said it and said it and said it and said it. There's a reason that some of the guys, the European guys, have those buttons on the side. You put that on, it's got a resistor inside, and it connects the battery all the way through. It charges up the capacitors in the ESC, and then when you put the shorten plug in, it doesn't draw a big arc, and you don't get a black carbon spot on the connections.
Still a white
if you-
piece of paper.
But if you keep taking that thing and just sticking it in there, you hear a arc every time you put it in there. Sooner or later, you're going to have enough carbon trace in there that you're not going to get a contact. And people won't listen, but keep losing planes. That's the reason mine has the resistor in it and the switch on the side. Why does your have two switches on the side? Because I lost one and I'm not going to do it again. I learned my lesson.
The carbon arc is in the switch instead of outside.
Well, I don't run a switch.
Okay.
If you run a switch, yeah, you need to change that thing about every 50 flights. I think I had 62 on mine, and it arced so bad that it burnt. When I took it apart to look at it, the land was just about burnt plumb up. So
John,
I
you
said,
still got a white piece of paper up there.
Yeah, I can't figure out what's going on now. I've never
Close
had,
out the program.
I just did.
now bring it up again.
all kind of good instructions, John.
Yeah,
Well, let me just tell you what I did, and then you go back when it was running for me. I went summed the moments, came out with a good approximation of what it had to be to balance. I had to move everything front of the CG forward 3 inches.
Oh, that much.
Yeah, that engine or that motor in the back, even as close as I could get it, still had a supreme effect on the balance. So it's a little longer and sleeker looking than it was before.
Cool.
It looks good.
But then I
I
went,
bet it does.
yeah, thank you. Then I went and set the stabbing elevator where I like to have it, where it's a straight line running from the elevator connector on the flap horn, straight back to the elevator flap horn, so that there's no misalignment there, so that whatever turns I get on the flap, the corrected ratio is the same, both directions as is on the flap. Anyway, so I did that. And then I thought, now this one's for Joe. I went and moved the stabbing elevator down to inline. So it's a 100% inline all the way across.
I don't know which is better. I'm not educated enough to say that.
A lot of people like the inline. I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't know. I'm not qualified.
Well, one thing about it, it's going to be right in the prop wash. So it'll be more effective, good or bad. It'll be more effective.
Well, yes and no, it's not in clean air, but then that's not what you're looking for. You want the prop wash over the elevator. I've got it the way I've got it set up. I've worked out the geometry to where you'll get it even. It's just you have to have the front the bell crank has to be leaned forward at 7 degrees, and the one going back to the tailplane has to be leaned back 6 degrees.
Back, I'll be darned.
And then the one on the elevator has to be moved forward. I think it's 6 degrees. so you got, it comes up to the flap horn, and then it goes down to the elevator. But it should be equal. So, like I say, I've always flown with the elevator higher and I've never really had a problem. But then I don't fly at your level, okay? I don't fly with the big boys. When you do, you say what you want.
I try.
Yeah, you fly with the big
I
boys.
try.
And so, I have never found a need or anything for going to straight inline. And I'm not totally convinced that inline is going to be any better than well done, something done properly, the other way.
I can't, I'm not educated. Big Blue, I built it with the tail flat on the table, fuselage upside down, wing off the table in the middle of fuselage because it could build flat easier. It's a
Right.
convenience thing for me, but I don't know. I don't know.
I know
I'm
my
not
opinion.
knowledgeable enough to say.
Yeah,
It don't matter.
well, that's kind of my opinion. What
I've built
matters is
both
to
ways,
get
and
your
I've never
alignment.
really found one better than the other one, but I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one because I'm like Joe. I don't have the education.
I don't have the education to tell you.
But and I look at like Walker's running inline airplanes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Howard is running inline
Chris
airplanes.
Cox is in line, I think. Sharks
Yeah.
aren't Sharks in line, and
Yes, they
I
are.
think so, yeah. I think
Oh,
those
the-
Sharks are.
Starlight,
Sharks
I think
are.
all of them are, I think.
Yeah. So they're
Somebody thinks it's better, but I'm not educated enough to tell you.
10 years ago though, there was very few inlines.
And they were flying really good patterns.
Yeah.
The power plant's a big deal, I think. Major
Well,
part of it.
You're right. In my opinion, there's two major areas you got to really, three. First off, when you build it, whatever the design is, you got to build it straight, and you got to build it. You got to know how to get things aligned properly.
100%.
And then you can go into the control system. If you got a control system that one way you get 3 to 6 degrees difference between up and down on one of the flight surfaces.
That's trouble.
You got to take care of that.
That's
then
trouble.
Then comes your power. Whether it's electric or fuel or rubber bands, it doesn't matter. It's the power system, gas system or gas. I'm talking like 50s. But the internal combustion engine that we have today are head and shoulders above anything we had, I think even 25 years ago.
Super Tiger 60 is a great engine, but it ain't a road jet.
Right. And so, the Super Tiger 60 was pretty much the top of the heap in its day.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear my ABC Super Tiger run, Joe?
I didn't hear it. Oh, I did at St. Louis a little bit. I watched it at St. Louis.
It runs just like a PA.
Yeah, it's a nice engine.
And then, but you take like a 40 Rojet or what's the other, Nelson? The PA,
Super, yeah.
the PA,
PAs, Nelson's.
a 40 size PA has got more horsepower than you can shake a stick at. And it's all controlled. Especially
Even the little compact is incredible.
Yeah. And so what I'm trying to say is don't get me wrong, I'm not against the force. I run stalkers. What the hell,
Oh, go for that. It's okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think if I was fighting against the big boys in that, I'd be running something different,
I don't know. There ain't nothing wrong with running something a little different. I mean, everybody thought that the first Tiger 60 we saw in the field was in a great big round fuselage, great big Sea Fury, and everybody said, That catches too much air. They called it the pickle barrel. They laughed at Al. And what did Al do? Went off and won the Nationals. So, and just because it's different, don't laugh at it. Let's see what he can do with it.
A lot of ways to skin a cat.
I mean that.
Yep. Absolutely a fact. I love nothing better than to hear a good running Super Tiger 60 or
Yeah,
big,
I love the sound of Sparkies.
yeah.
I'm
I love the
I'm
sound
upset
of 'em.
because I don't have one of the sleeve and piston sets yet, but I'll get one eventually, I hope.
Did you hear Blanchard's K77 running in that Avante? Did you see it fly?
I didn't.
You didn't? Steve and Sparky might have seen it. That's a K77 running 7,450 RPMs, dude. And it sounds
Wow.
bad.
Wow. How much nitro are they running?
10%.
10%.
10%.
Wow.
It's incredible. It sounds. I think it's a 6 3/4 pitch, 13-inch prop, and it pulls that Avante around like it's a toy.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Well,
Double
yeah.
Star 60 pulls one pretty good, but that 77 ought to be amazing. That ought to be
It
a weapon.
is.
Has anybody
It
figured
is.
out how much horsepower that engine's actually putting out?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never had a chance. I've never had a sniff at getting one of those engines, so couldn't tell you.
Well, I think Roadjet 40 or 51 or whatever in there. I think I'm guessing, not really guessing. I remember hearing it once, but I thought it was right around close to 2 horsepower in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. We're not using those engines to 60% of what they can do.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah. If I was going to get a Roadjet, I believe I'd get the 67. That's the one I've heard Wendy talk about. I think that's the best one of the bunch.
I'm waiting to fly my latest Stalker. I got that Stalker 66, and that sound out on the bench. That sucker sounds awesome.
Well, that 76 is the most incredible motor I've ever had. That thing is one flip starts on 0 nitro. That does not compute to me.
It's got the compression up.
Man, it does. You go out there and warm that thing up. Don't flood it. Golly, don't flood it.
No, flood that sort of take your arm off.
But that darn thing, you get out there and flip that sucker. Put your finger on the vent with cold. Put your finger on the vent, flip it 4 times. Take your finger off the vent, flip it through 4 more times quick. Flip it backwards twice, flip it forward once, put the battery on it, count to 10 as you're signaling the judges. Hit that sucker, put your thumb on the spinner and flip that sucker backwards 1 time and it's running. And it's just time after time after time. That's been a great engine. The only thing wrong with that airplane, it pulls too dang hard. That 76 is a horse.
Steve is seeing my Super Tigers will spinner flip. You just flip the spinner.
That's the way I start on mine.
Yep, I've seen it. I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
Go.
That's the way I start on mine.
Now a ring Super Tiger won't do that.
Seal's not good enough, probably.
Right.
I fly regular with a guy that starts everything like that, from Fox 35s to
they'll do it.
Whatever he's got. He's just amazing. We call him Mr. One Flip. If Tommy has to flip it twice, something didn't go right.
Daddy always said, flood it, Joe Mock, and you know what's wrong with it. It'll start.
I tell you what, you flood some of these motors nowadays and you'll bend a rod in them. I saw one hydraulic the other week and it ain't good.
8 drops of fuel.
I do 4, but size of the drops could be the difference.
That could be difference too, yep.
I've got a 76 4-stroke. You put 4 drops in that thing and it don't just start. It's warm when it finally quits. Those things are incredible, man. You take a 4-stroke, put 4 ounces of fuel in it, make a mistake, put 4 ounces of fuel in that thing, you're going to fly about 2 patterns. or fly long enough to fly 2 patterns. That thing's incredible.
I've got
Big
about
old
12 diesel engines. And I keep
those,
thinking, if we really understood the diesels, the advantages that they do have, as opposed to they smell bad and things like that, and we'd probably be using them more often because they can swing a bigger prop,
yeah.
and you can take the exhaust nozzle off the muffler, and
Mhm.
I put urethane clear urethane tubing where it is, like you get at the hardware store. Run it
Mhm.
all the way back to the rear, running all the exhaust back, so I get none of that on the airplane. And it doesn't mind being,
No, it likes the extra back pressure.
yeah. And the only problem is I never got good enough with it to be able to get that compression and the needle valve coordinated properly. And sometimes I get up there, I'd be hearing beep, 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 beep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those things are something. The guys that can make them run, though, can really make them run. I
Tom Martin
just-
had an FP40 that he bought a conversion kit for it.
Yeah.
This is on a Ted Snow 500-inch wing airplane. And it was a great sport plane. But
Yeah.
the sucker, it just didn't slow down.
Yeah.
It just dug everywhere it went.
Thing
Yeah.
got me. It kicked back so bad. That thing eat you.
Those
It was just
diesels are a torque-based engine.
Yeah.
That's what you gauge them on. And it's not RPM so much, it's torque.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The thing about that is you have to fly it to figure out. You can't just
Exactly.
listen to it. It's somebody that can listen to a diesel and know when it's hit its sweet spot has flown a lot of diesel
Yes. Yes.
because it is a different sound.
Might take a couple flights to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit to get it right. Once you get it, though, good gracious.
Well, I entered a franchise twister at Whittier Narrows. I had a KMB 20 with a Davis diesel conversion on it.
That was a tough little motor.
Yeah, and I had that on a 40-ounce Batterized twister, 40 or 42. And that's little 20 on the swinging a 10.6 or 10.5, one of the two. And that thing had haul it all through the pattern without a whimper, when I got it right, when I hit the sweet spot. So the only thing is you smelled bad. You got that
Yeah.
stuff all over you. Nobody talked to you in the pits. Go
Nobody
sit
wanted to launch your airplane, probably either.
Yeah. I often thought about, they used to sell kerosene for lanterns that it was perfumed. So when it burned, it smelled
Yeah.
like perfume. I've been trying to find some of that and mix up some fuel that way to see if it makes a difference.
Hey, John, there was a guy that come out to Hobby Park one day. There's about 8 or 10 of us out there flying. And this dude came around and he didn't really ask. He just put a drop or two of this in my fuel and a drop or two of that in Tommy's fuel and a drop or two in Buddy's fuel and a drop or two in one of the other guys' fuel. By the time we flew about 6 flights, we had to stop. We were so dang hungry we couldn't stand it. He put in cheeseburger, hot dogs, cotton candy, and French fries.
Oh my goodness.
And I
Really?
mean, it was hard getting rid of those 4 gallons of fuel because every time we'd go, we wouldn't fly but 3 or 4 times. We'd be hungry. The
I
darn
wish I
stuff
knew
worked.
who he was. I bet you he's got some other
He's got some other flavors. Cotton candy, he said, was the most popular.
Yeah.
It didn't make you so darn hungry, but he just ruined us, man. He just ruined us.
Yeah, cheeseburger and French fries. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that
almost
was something.
inhumane.
Well, the bad
Yeah.
thing is, see, I can't even smell, but I got hungry.
Well, that little KMB 20 only used like two and a half ounces, something like that, of fuel for the
Yeah.
whole pattern.
Yeah.
It was miserly. And I was
Yeah,
running
there-
it through the stock muffler and then that tube going, that plastic tube going all the way back to the airplane. And it sounded like an electric out there on the end of the lines.
Yeah.
Really quiet.
Yeah, they were real quiet. I remember seeing Wendy one time. I never got to see Wendy fly a whole lot except at the Nationals. And I cannot remember where it was, but it was one of the early Wendy pipe planes. And he had taken a piece of aluminum tubing and run it from the pipe tunnel out the back end of the airplane, right out the back of the rudder, and run a piece of tubing off the pipe and onto this little piece of tubing. So that the exhaust from the tubing was coming out to the end of the rudder. You talk about somebody that didn't even have to wipe his tail wheel off. This thing was quiet too. It was a Cardinal based airplane. I can't remember which one it was. May have been just a Cardinal, but I can't remember. But it was a heck of a thing to see. It was a lot of fun to watch. And Wendy always put on a show anyway. He was always a character. I love to watch him fly and love to talk to him because he's just such a character and so darn smart about paint and painting. What is he doing?
Who's he?
Sparky.
He's on a
He's
mission
listening.
to do something.
He's got that thing upside down. Looks like he's got the cowling off of it.
You're putting the saran wrap on. No?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's getting ready to get all his fits just right.
Yep. Putting the plastic wrap on.
Okay. I know how that works. I have did that myself. I used to do it with wax paper, and I wondered why you could still see the crack. Well, saran's a lot thinner than waxed.
Mm. Yeah, he's gonna put that cowling on there and get the super fill around there. Gonna make it a perfect fit.
Yeah. He's good at it.
Did you ever find that that plan, John?
Well, I'm working on that right now while you guys are talking.
Oh, okay.
I'm just shutting everything off on it, and I'm gonna bring it back up and try it again. I want Joe to see this.
Well, I got my biplane plans out and was looking at them, and I'm telling you what, Kermit might not be the only one building one of them darn things. That wing is so pretty, but I want to see pictures of yours again because I want to paint mine like yours.
That's the end of that saran wrap.
That's the end of it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think there was much in there.
Yeah, not much.
So
I got
let's
another
bring,
roll.
I guess I had to bring over another one.
No, I got another roll.
You got a roll. Okay.
Kermit has a picture. No, it wasn't Kermit, somebody else. I've got it somewhere else. I'll dig it out and get it sent to you.
Okay.
It's
They-
sitting,
by
sitting
by the
over in the
way-
corner there behind me right now.
Well, I tried to send you a text a couple of times about the plans. I cannot find a flaw except it's got that, whatever it is, that writing up through it. Say it's a beta version. Those lines drive me crazy. But other than that, it looks good. I couldn't find any problems.
Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate you taking a look at it because
Yeah, but I couldn't get a word to you. You couldn't get a text in and out of this place this weekend for nothing.
yeah, I understand. Well, that's good. Now I've got like I think 4 people looking at it. So the more I hear, the better it is.
I think it's gonna be a great airplane. It's gonna be a big son of a gun. Better have a pickup truck to transport it, or a van. But I think it's gonna be a beautiful airplane.
655 squares,
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay. Okay.
Mark,
Joe,
Hello, Mark.
How are you, Mark?
hey everybody.
Hi, Mark.
How's the Bearcat coming?
Oh, pretty good. You want to see it?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've
While
been
John's
actually,
getting his ready, show us that.
I've been actually working on it.
Ah, amazing. Oh, man.
Oh,
So here-
baby.
You're
Here's the
coming right along with
stabilizer.
that
Oh,
thing.
wow. Look at that.
I'm working on the back end, which is a tricky part because of the movable rudder and everything else.
Mm.
Yeah,
But there it is after it's sheeted.
yeah.
There's the rudder and the stabilizer, vertical stabilizer. And there that is after it's sheeted. And this little wire down here is the part that makes the rudder move. Goes
Mhm.
down into this little
Mhm.
sled that has a slot in it that wiggles around the way it's supposed to as the elevator is up and down.
Mhm.
Is
Here's
that the
the,
cam actuated? What?
I'll show you the
Yeah.
cam in a minute. Yeah. So I test fitted I notched out the fuselage to fit the stabilizer in there and test fitted everything. And I cut the hole for the access to the rudder mechanism and the elevator horn and adjustments there. And I think I'm going to be able to use the door that I had from the old one.
Cool.
Mm.
It's going to be a little tricky to paint the lettering so it all matches, but I think it'll work out. And then here's I built the tray, and here's the cam action. And this thing goes in here, moves back and forth. This is the wire that comes from the push rod for the elevator. So as the elevator push rod goes back and forth, this thing goes back and forth. And with that wire down in here, it wiggles the rudder appropriately. So that's what I got done this week. So
What I'd like to see sometime, if you don't mind showing it, is how that rod hooks to the push rod. Because if you make the push rod adjustable, I can't figure out how to hook it on there where it don't get put it in the darn bind when you try to adjust the rod length.
well, the adjustment on the push rod is next to the elevator.
Okay.
Next to the elevator.
Yeah. And it's obviously coupled, but you can adjust this length here if you need to by just
Yeah.
popping that off and twirling it.
No, I mean the other end where it hooks to the push rod.
It may just have one clevis on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just had I don't think I have a picture of it. The way I did it on the first Bearcat, I'm not happy with because it was easy. It was very easy to get off, but I just bent a piece of aluminum around the push rod and epoxied it
Mm-hmm.
and drilled a hole through the tab and just there's a bend in this
Z-bended
push rod
it.
at the other end. I just put that through the hole in the aluminum tab. But the aluminum will work quite a bit. And I didn't fly this airplane, more than about 6 months. So I'm going to make it out of brass or steel this time.
Yeah. But when you go to change your push rod length to adjust the elevator up and down, what do you do? How do you do it? Because you can't turn push rod because if you do, it'll
just turn the
twist that
clevis.
around.
No, I
Just turn the clevis.
I use a ball link and just pop that off, or it's adjustable.
Oh, whoa. Gotcha.
I just
Okay.
unscrew that
Perfect sense.
and then turn it,
Yeah.
Half a
okay.
turn.
which way,
Yeah.
whichever way I'm trying to go. And screw it back together. It's a little tricky, but you don't have to
Yeah.
do it that many times. It's not something you do every day.
No. That's pretty neat. I really like that. I have the drawings of how to do that, but some of the stuff is not real clear to me. Couldn't figure out exactly how to do it. I know how I did
Do you
it,
have, do you have
but
Keith's
I'm not happy with
article?
the way I did it.
Do you have Keith's
Huh?
article from Keith?
I sure do.
Strauss
Keith
will
sent
put a
me,
nice article in
yeah, he
Stunt
sent
News
me
in
an article,
2007.
something like that. He sent me the article and the
Okay.
plans to do it and all that, but he doesn't
Okay.
tell me which one to use. I see that one has more one way than it does the other. I thought it was kind of even both ways, but I see that was a little different.
Well, the push rod goes, the
Right dead center. It didn't, well,
rudder
yeah,
um, rod comes down about right here.
yeah,
And then this goes back and forth about half an inch each way.
yeah,
You have only about an inch of travel here.
yeah.
That is what
Makes
you got to
perfect
play with.
sense.
Yeah. Because like
Well,
I
I tell
said
you-
before, Keith had about 30 of these sleds that he made of all kinds of different profiles. And he
Yeah, I
showed me
remember
the
when,
one, he showed me the one that worked the best. I took a picture of it and that's how I built this one.
yeah,
Yes.
It worked pretty
He
good on my
had,
first Bearcat.
back in '74, he had those made out of nylon, the FW-190. And I went home and tried to make one. Let me just give you a little hint. Nylon is not the easiest thing to work with. The plywood is a whole lot better deal. Harden it up good and get in there and polish it with some fine
I think
sandpaper.
I think if I made another one, I'd consider using basswood for this.
Well, that's what I
And I
think
think
I
that would
used,
be
but
easier to machine and easier to make smooth.
yeah.
This is 16th inch plywood here.
Oh yeah. The center section kind of tends to fall apart and get really rough.
But like Keith said, it doesn't have to be really tight in here. It can be kind of loose.
Yeah. Well, Keith knows because he's the one that designed that thing,
Yeah.
and it does work.
Anyway,
Well,
that's
he
what I've
come-
been up to the last week or so.
Well done.
I remember when he showed that thing, we were at the hotel at the '77 team trials, and Al Raby was showing the Mustang how the exhaust pipe was the tricky thing on the Mustang. The exhaust went out at the back of the cowl, and I don't know how to explain it. You probably know the words to use it. I'm not much of a linguist, but anyway, the exhaust actually forced the air in the cowl out the tailpipe and out of the airplane. So it
Called an
helped cool.
augmenter.
Augmenter, there you go. It
Yeah,
helped cool
exactly.
inside the cowling. Well, he won an award for that, PAMP award for that at the Nationals. But we were all mystified by it at the team trials. We were all looking at that thing and thought, well, that's the neatest thing I've seen yet. Well, none of us had rear exhaust motors, None of us had them. He didn't either. He had a side exhaust, but he turned a 46 into a 60. What can I say?
Well, he had the motor at 45 degrees angle too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It wasn't
he
straight
did.
up and down.
No, it was snaggletooth and it was at 45 degrees.
Yeah.
But he also had a Tiger 46 as far as on paper. It was actually a Tiger 60. And he had all kinds of power. He let Keith borrow one of those motors. And I couldn't believe Keith didn't run it in the trial. But he said, the one problem about this is he keeps breaking crank pins. What do I do if I go out there and I've gotten used to running this thing and it breaks a crank pin? I have to go back to a 46. We'll be lost. And he was right. But I think Al did give him a couple of them before it was over with, but they were real good friends. So if you talk to Al and you mention Keith, man, Al would go into telling stories about his buddy. He says the only thing that guy ever did that really burnt me was he said we were at the Nationals and that rascal came in and I bounced the Bearcat and he didn't bounce the FW and he won by 1 point. Dadgummit.
That's
I
right.
think it was actually 3 points, but anyway.
70 Nats, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says that's the only time he's ever frustrated me, but he frustrated the dickens out of me. I said, yeah, but it made you go home and come up with a better mousetrap, didn't it? He said, it sure did. He said, I don't know if it's legal on the Bearcat to use it. But he said, by George, mine's got it. said didn't know if it was legal to use in Classic, but his had it. He said he'd
Yeah,
take a chance on losing the
didn't-
fidelity points.
he didn't really come up with the spring gear until the Sea
After
Fury.
70.
Sea Fury.
Well, I don't know. He may have, because that was the one after. That was the 70. Sea Fury was
Yeah, because
what,
he's
7?
the Bearcat 3 that I built, he's got a note on the plan that says he didn't really have the shock gear on the Bearcat 3, but he thinks it works better with it. So
Yeah,
the heck with
said
trying to be classic legal. And
he'd use it and take a chance on losing the fidelity points. Yeah.
There's no fidelity points in here.
Keith had shock gear on his Bearcat. I don't think anybody ever complained about
Nobody cares.
No.
it. But he said
No,
he
the
didn't think it
planes were
really
so
helped the
cool.
landings at all. He didn't think it helped all that much.
Well, everybody thinks you can fly the thing into the ground. The idea is it's only got an ink pen spring on it. It's just to hold the weight of the tire down. And the idea is it touches down and gets to spinning. It hasn't come up against the airplane yet. So it gets the tire spinning, and if it bounces, it only comes up to the plane. Then it goes back down spinning, and then the airplane comes down on it. People didn't understand that. They thought, how big is that spring? Where do we get that spring? That's a magic spring. Got to be just, it was a ballpoint pen spring, is what he told
Fully
me.
compressed when it's on the ground.
Yeah.
It is, if you land it nice, it goes like this for a while till it gets weight on it, and then it's solid again.
I tell you what, at the team trials, that thing come down and you heard the tire spin, and then you heard the plane settle down on it, and you could tell the difference in the sound. Because one way you were just hearing the tires, and the next way it's reverberating up through the airframe. His airframe was so light built that, man, it all just, well, you know, they called his Bearcat, and then later called the everything after that really pickle barrels, because the sound came through them so much. But our stuff was light, great big airplane. And if you take the motor and fuel tank out of it, it didn't weigh much. It didn't weigh near what you thought it would weigh. It wasn't featherweight, but it wasn't near what you thought it would weigh. My BBQB downstairs don't weigh near what I thought it would weigh, but it ain't got KNB epoxy on it yet either. Well, class code epoxy on it yet either, but it's gonna have. Guys are all
Pete
telling me,
Rose
"No,
died
just
at
use-"
83.
Do what?
Pete Rose died today.
Yep.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Chris-
Pete.
That's what they said on the news.
Chris
Christopher
died
passed away
yesterday.
too last night.
Yeah,
83 years old. Chris was 88.
yeah.
Oh, man, I'm 81. Don't tell me this.
Yeah.
Mr.
Santa Claus,
Hustle,
you get it.
no doubt about that.
Yeah. He was quite a character. Mm.
Are you winning, Sparky?
I think so.
Good.
What you got there, Stuart?
Spitfire 049 Cox, is it?
Yeah, you're muted, Stuart.
Yeah, I don't even have him on my screen.
Yeah, I had a guy give this to me this week, so
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
How about that?
He
Very
gave it to you?
cool.
Wow.
I couldn't believe how good a shape it was in. Like,
Yeah.
It's in beautiful shape.
yeah.
I've got a Stuka, but I don't have one of those.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
And it's
Real cool.
Yeah,
That
the
is
box
cool.
for it'd be $1,500.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
God,
Yeah.
they're bringing ridiculous amounts of money.
He was smart enough. He wouldn't have given it to me if he had the box.
Yeah. I do have the box, but it's still not worth anywhere near that.
Guys, I've reloaded everything. I'd like to try one more time.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Please
Then I want
do.
to ask you what that airplane is over there, because I hadn't seen that one before.
Which
That yellow and black and white one.
That's
know
that's the biplane.
Oh, it
There you
is?
go.
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Now that's what you're flying next year, Joe.
ha,
Joe,
Late next
this is
year.
with
That's
the
your,
nose.
that's your ride for late next year.
This is with the nose extended 3 inches.
I
Mm.
think it looks better. I
And
think
looks
I
that's
darn
thinned it
nice, I
down.
think.
I do too.
Thank you. I thinned it down a little between the top and the bottom. And it's got a much bigger annular ring back here because the the way I'm looking at building this is air enters here and enters at that little scoop for the T what is it?
ESC,
TSC.
electronic speed control.
ESC right down here and the
Mm.
timer and all that. And anyway, and but it goes right through the whole fuselage because it's going to be formed, most of it.
Yeah.
And so the air comes out right here and it's sucked out by the prop. So there should be no problem keeping things cool. But this is with the wing, the stab and elevator set up at the optimum height. Start out with that as a straight line between the two. So that should give you.
I think that's neat. I think
Now,
that's just neat. I like that.
now, for the inline,
Yeah.
there's your inline.
Mm.
I almost think the other one looks better.
I
I
did
kind of like
too.
the other one better too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, guys. I think the other one does look better.
It looks like it's humped down in the back. It don't look like it's flying straight.
Mm.
I mean, it's not. You can see it's perfectly good, but
Yeah.
There was a really popular airplane years ago that always looked like it was dragging its back end.
Yep.
And I asked about it, and he said, "Well, next year's is not like that." And he had chopped the back end off, just cut a Y shape out of it and raised it. And I did that to mine. I was going to ask him why he didn't just do that, and he'd already done it. And he said,
Mhm.
next year it will look better. And next year it won the Nats. So
the high one, I like the geometry of the control system better. I mean, I know you got it figured out, but straight's just better than angles.
Well,
yeah,
it is. Plus,
Yeah.
it runs easier and going a straight line from the flap horn to the elevator horn. You know what
Yes, I 100% know.
Yeah.
You're not going around curves while things is going on. Yeah.
yeah.
I got a
that never
question. Has
never works.
anybody ever used the RC type push rods, the one inside the other on a stud shed?
Yeah,
Nyco press or something. What do they call that?
yeah,
There's
but
a-
it didn't last very long. When you're flying it in an RC plane, you don't move it that much. It's just kind of moves and it stops and it sits there and it comes back. But when you're in a stunner, you're constantly moving stuff. We got to looking, and it had not worn out the wire; it had worn out the nylon runner.
the sheath.
That's not what's supposed to wear out, but that's what wore out. And I'm gonna tell you a little secret: once you built the plane, getting in there to replace that is not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I did it once, never again.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was thinking about that. Because it makes it easier to have the bell crank in the center of the airplane and then just would run those over back to booms, kind of. That's easy.
Yeah, if you're
But
gonna do it,
I do little
you-
bell cranks at each.
yeah, that's what I would do. If you're gonna run the RC push rods, there's an inner sleeve that's wire, or some of them are plastic, but one I have is wire. Then there's an outer sleeve. Put that in a sleeve and fix it where it's affixed at both ends, but where you can take it loose and pull that piece out, put a new one in, because it will wear. The company will tell you, "Oh, these don't wear. These don't wear." They do.
Everything wears, Phil.
I will go with the carbon push rods.
That's
with
what I do.
Bell cranks on either side.
That's what I'll do if I build one.
L cranks, I guess, is what they.
You gonna
call it.
run two? You going two push rods, one on each side?
Well, I've got a bell crank that I'm making up that I've got instead of having let me zoom in on this a little bit here.
If you did that elevator like Howard does, where you put a carbon fiber tube on it, you could run it off from one side. It would never give you a problem. I don't believe.
Oh, I know. You see this arm here is strictly to take the motion from this rotation and make it a linear motion going forward and aft. But what if I didn't have that on there and instead had, let's say I was using this hole, had this hole right here.
And going
then
90 out.
and right here, right in line with the lead outs and everything else.
Right.
And I could then run one line to this side and one line to that side. And what I like about that is coming to the points where they come to the wing flaps. You can get in there. You can adjust. I could put an ball joint or adjustable link there where you can adjust for getting the flaps instead of hand tweaking them. You could do it like
Shorten and lengthen.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, John. Those push rods are not that free. I have them here. There's no way that I would run them straight. And if you're talking about bending them, making an arc or whatever,
Well, yeah.
that would not be free.
Well, I appreciate
well-
the information. I've already decided that isn't the way to go. But I appreciate the information because that's what I was looking for, was the information.
Yeah, if you got a big enough group, we've all
Yeah.
made these mistakes.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to make a mistake. But anyway, when I draw it up, I'll draw it up with the system I'm thinking of. It could go either way. You could do it normally. It could be done normally. It could be done. But I'm trying to get to where I can adjust. I'd have a flap horn on each side of the wing.
Mhm.
So these would come to there. Then I could adjust each flap independently of the other. And then off of one flap, if I want, I run that back and use the carbon fiber across and make it go up and down. This is something I've been working on for about a year.
15,000 flight line with turnbuckles, and you could make a push-pull system, just free wires back there. Be light and would be free.
That's also something to consider. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know, Joe, how what do you think? I guess that's the question.
Oh, for me, man, you're out of my league on that. What if you put the bell crank right in line with the first spot going back? Why do you have to have the bell crank in the center of the airplane?
Well, you don't. But if you put it on the inboard side, you're going to have one hell of a lot of wingtip weight.
I don't care.
Well, I'm talking about, that's the problem with the Raven. I did that on the Raven.
Oh, the tip weight gets out of hand, huh?
Yeah.
You make the inboard wing 1 inch bigger to carry the weight.
You could do that. What I would do is I would run it all the way through and go down the outside. And then you don't have to have any tip
What
weight.
would be the downside to that running outside? It
The
give you
angle
a
of the
bigger
lead
swinging
out.
moment. Huh?
The angle of the lead outs coming
Well,
out.
it depends on how it's designed. If you design it with that concept in mind. You notice where I've got my belt crank located in relationship to the CG. Back to that.
Nice.
I run it just a little bit behind the CG. And that puts me like at the wingtip. That's about the same distance that most planes want their lead outs centered.
3/4 inch or 1 inch.
Yeah. And so that keeps this lined up with the lines going out the wing. So if I do that all the way across, it shouldn't cause a problem. It's just a longer set. There's so, like you said, there's so many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to help you, John. I wish I was. I'd be tempted to get away from the center bell crank somehow, just for simplicity. If you put the bell crank on the outside, you got a super long moment on that wing to make it not want to rock.
No, it won't rock.
Well, also, guys, if you put that bell crank in the middle, you're going to run a push rod back to the flaps, and you're going to have a long flap horn coming off, right? Then you're
Well,
gonna be
that's-
driving your elevators off a push rod that's off the other end of the flap
Yep.
out there in that other pylon. Well, what's to say that
that's-
elevator, that flap don't give and cause you a problem? I'd rather have it further out at the outboard pylon and chance that. If I'm gonna
Well,
take a
that's-
chance, if I'm gonna take a gamble, I'm gonna gamble that way, because that's a
Yeah.
lot of linkage, guys.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I like the idea of having the L cranks up each of the booms. And then you can run.
Do you have Don Hutchison's P-38 plans?
I do.
How did he do that?
I'd have to look at it.
I forgot. I've seen him and got him on computer.
That
He was
would be an
pretty
excellent one to
brilliant in
look
that
at.
stuff. He was
That
pretty
would be-
brilliant at that.
I know.
Well,
That would be an excellent one to look at.
you've given me lots of good ideas and things.
No, they're ideas, John. They may not be good.
Yeah.
Ideas. In World War
promise
II,
you.
there was a lot of ideas, but not all of them were good.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Yeah, Germany had a whole lot of ideas that worked on paper, but
Yeah.
we didn't see
That
any
blue
of
and
it.
boss, with the cabin, out, yeah, and I never could
That was the
figure-
weirdest looking thing I ever saw. I never could figure out how they land that thing, because he's gonna be over near the stripe at the side of the dang runway trying to land it. All the airplanes over there. I couldn't figure that thing out.
Did you know in World War II, they took a DC-3, filled it full of cargo, and they took one of those Waco gliders and filled it full of cargo. And they struck off to flew that sucker across the ocean up to Iceland and around the corner and flew that thing IFR behind that DC-3 all the way across the ocean to Iceland, landed, and then wherever else they go to land. And they did that one time and said it wasn't feasible. So the guy in the glider, when they're flying it, they took a marker and marked the window where that cable should be from their perspective. So when they got in the clouds and couldn't see the airplane, they flew that rope up on their window on that line and kept it there.
I'll be
That was
danged.
an idea, but I'm not sure it was a
Yeah.
good one.
Did it
Well,
work?
it worked. It got them
They
there.
got
where
it
they
there.
wanted to go.
But it was very, very difficult. They wore 2 ropes out getting there.
Wow.
Had to change the ropes.
Well,
Can you imagine flying a glider behind a DC-3 with a chalk line on the window and flying that chalk line on that cable for hours in weather?
Oh,
Goodness.
well, we think that this was a crazy idea for the glider pilot to do. But think about it, if the rope quit or he got tangled up and had to, for some reason, come unhooked, he's a glider. He's gonna land. Where's he gonna land? In the water.
In the water,
long-
dude.
How long can you tread water? He's gonna come
You
up with
can't.
something.
You'll
that
freeze in
works.
about 4 minutes. It won't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, it's an idea for the guy in the DC-3. It's a lifetime commitment for the guy in the glider.
Oh yeah.
well, they were anxious to get supplies to the
That's right.
Allies.
Yeah.
And the Germans had those submarine wolf packs out there.
That's right.
I had one of my buddies, his father was in the merchant marine, and he was
Mhm.
running up to Murmansk, and, up through the ice floes and everything else to get into Russia to bring stuff in, and believe me, they knew they went in the water, they were dead,
Yeah.
But you had to get the materials there because if they didn't, they wouldn't be able to fight. Weren't able to fight, they'd be overrun. It'd be over.
They're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think that was Mike's chair.
Yeah, it's like I told my daddy that after looking at some of the stuff that he got me to take a look at, he took me up to the airport one day and showed me a bear cat. Corky Farnoff and his dad were up there putting
Yeah.
on an air show with a bear cat, and I went up and looked
Sure.
at their 2 copper-colored bear cats.
Copper cat.
Yeah, now you go up there and look at that thing and you think, okay, these are, I mean, it made such an impression on me. I I love a P-51, but my favorite piston engine airplane, F-8F Bearcat every time. Anyway, I went up there and looked at that thing, and Daddy pecked on the side of that thing, and he says, "That's all armament you got." I said, "No, there's more armament than that. There's got to be. Not a lot." And he had
Behind the
yet to
seat,
tell me.
there's a good chunk.
Oh yeah, but he had yet to tell me the story of the being in the B-17. That came later. I was probably 6, 7 years old when I saw the Bearcat. But later on, he told me about the B-17s because I thought they were invincible. And Dad told me about the B-17s, and then Dad long been dead 20 years when I finally got to go in aluminum overcast when it was up at the Coliseum airport. It's the plane they used in the movie, the Memphis Belle.
Mm.
It was still
Isn't
in
that big
Memphis Belle
airplane,
livery.
is it?
Oh yeah, it's not near as big as I thought it
It
was.
ain't near as big as you think it is inside.
There's no way that I can get to the waist gunner position. Forget
You'd be
about the ball
crouched.
turret. Forget about the ball turret or the tail gunner.
You couldn't
way
get
I
in the
could-
tail gunner position.
I couldn't get back there
No.
if I were on my belly crawling. My shoulders wouldn't fit.
One of the Memphis Belle crewmen, when it came into Dayton, gave me this challenge coin. Oh, wait a minute. I got to turn on this screen here.
Well, that's a pretty good deal, Sparky. Those are.
Can you imagine being at, I don't know how high they flew, 27,035 below zero, heated
that's-
suits and boots and gloves
Yeah.
trying to shoot a machine
Yeah,
gun?
that's
Wow.
neat, Sparky. That is neat, Sparky. Those things are very unique.
I'll show
All
you.
the guys that-
P-29, it was a far cry improvement for the 17.
Yeah,
Look
I've
at
been in a
Isn't that
29.
cool?
Yeah,
That
is cool.
is cool.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
That is cool. B-29 had 100-foot slide in it. You crawled in it and you just slid to the other end of the tunnel. You were sliding through the bomb bay and getting to the back or front end of the airplane.
The
And
whole airplane.
pressurized
Seven-
too with a dolly.
Yeah, well, you were on a
Wheel
little dolly.
The rope.
You were on a little
Hold
wheel
yourself
dolly,
back
but
there.
you know,
I
but it
touched
was,
that airplane.
It was
Which one?
pressurized.
Memphis
The
Belle.
guns-
yeah, I've
guns
looked
were
at it
radar
too. That's a
controlled.
nice airplane. That's a really nice old airplane. They've the story of that thing's kind of, you need to read up on the story of the Memphis Belle. They had it in Memphis for many years at the park. And they had it they finally put it under a cover, but the cover didn't have sides on it. And it was getting so weathered. And who's leaving?
No.
Nobody,
he's
I'm
coming in.
coming.
Oh,
Lynn showed up and I waved at him.
oh, good to see Lynn. I don't see him
Good to see
yet.
you
But
guys.
anyway,
Hi, Len.
Hey,
the
guys.
thing got so weathered and was looking so bad that they realized that they needed to do something to save it. So they took it to DC and everybody said, we'll never see it again. Well, now it's at the Air Force Museum.
In
And,
Dayton?
Yes.
and
Oh,
if you go
cool.
see that thing, she is one pretty lady. By the way, that museum is free if you're ever up that way. You owe it to yourself to go see it.
Expect
see
to
a lot-
spend 4 days there.
Oh God, I'm telling you.
You can't
It's-
see it in 4 hours.
No,
No.
4
Mm.
days.
Yeah, you can't see it in 4 hours. It's just too
You
big.
couldn't.
I've been in there probably 10 times and probably haven't seen it all.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't seen it.
incredible.
We decided, my wife and I decided we wanted this year when coming home from the Nationals, we stopped. And we wanted to see the presidential airplanes, JFK's airplane is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been
Independence
in,
is there.
yep, I sure is. I went through that too.
Columbine. Mhm.
We went through the planes and I'm telling you, if you're as big as I am, you're not going to enjoy going through that airplane. It's about that wide. The plastic, they got plastic on each side to keep you from touching anything, leather or anything. And it's about that wide. I had to go through it sideways. I know what was on this side. I have no idea what was behind me on a lot of it.
That's
So that
because
was still-
people in the 50s and 60s were my size.
Well, I
That's
tell you
exactly
what,
right.
I tell you what, it was a tiny little airplane. I'm telling you. I've
I
been
knew
on
a
a
guy-
707 commercial airliner, and I thought that was the longest dang airliner I'd ever been on. Flew one from LA to Phoenix, Arizona, and when we landed, all they had was the steps up front, and you had to walk all the way to the front of the airplane. Well, let's just say I wasn't in first class. I was traveling for Spectra, and I was in the back. That
Dennis
was
is
the
on his way.
longest dang cigar I'd ever been in my life. Now, a week
I don't
later, I
know.
was on a 747 going to Hawaii. That was a whole nother ballgame.
I don't
But
know, Phil, you
anyway,
ever been on a stretch DC-8?
no,
That's
They're
the
this was
long.
longest airplane I've ever been on.
this was a stretch deep at 727, and it was about the same deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Just
the
look, I mean, they're so little and they're so long. You just,
Mhm.
my God, this thing goes on forever.
well, I actually made a point of trying to get seated like all the way in the back because I just wanted to see how long it was. And
Yeah.
I'm walking there with the guy, the guy who was sitting next to me. We're walking to the front and then walking and walking. He goes, "Are we still on the airplane?"
Yeah. Dennis,
It's
I think the
crazy.
world of you. I think the world of you, but I think you're a little crazy.
Oh, well, exaggeration.
I want to sit right
I
behind the
have heard
pilot.
this. I don't know if it's just a urban legend or not, but the DC-8 had the cabin, had several dividers in the cabin, and
Mhm.
allegedly that was so people couldn't see the fuselage stretching and bending
I-
and snaking
I
along.
am certain I was in a 777 coming back from France, and Clean got way back in the back where there's just two seats where you didn't have everybody rubbing elbows with. And we got in the rough air. Man, I wanted to get on feet on them rudders and stop that swaying. My gut said that thing was moving 8 or 9 inches, wiggling as we was flying through there. It was just like I said, holy crap, get on the rudder, straighten that out.
I'm gonna tell you what. Somebody told me way back when you fly those great big planes, the long planes, take something to read. Take something. It's not because you're going to be bored on the flight. They got movies and everything. You don't want to look at a distance. You want to look right here, because then you don't see all that. Because if you see it, once you see it and you start paying attention to it,
It's something.
your stomach just.
The other
No.
time I was on a 777, they got a business class upgrade right by the engine. Had my little earphones on watching TV, and it got to bouncing and shaking. And I slid that wind up and looked at that engine. I guarantee you that engine was moving 18 inches. I mean, it was just, holy mackerel, was moving. Man, I put that window back down, put my earphones back on, went back and watched the movie, dude. That's enough of that.
Last
scary.
airliner I was on, Joe, it looked like the wings were flapping.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're made to do that, but oh, son,
It still
that
gives you a
motor was
weird
moving.
feeling.
It was moving. I thought, golly, how's it keep from breaking?
Well, when you took me up in your little plane, I could feel the wind push us 5 to 10 foot one side to side.
Oh yeah, it bounced you. It was a little gusty,
It wasn't bouncing, it was just pushing.
moving around.
Yeah. The only plane I've ever thought I was going to get airsick on was a short 303.
No, Convair.
Yeah, we flew over 3 Mile Island, and it got so rough that the stewardess got airsick and had to go sit down. She said, "Just lay your stuff on the floor. I'll get it when we get stopped." I mean, that plane was dancing around and everything, and the pilot says, "Buckle in, hang on, and if you're a believer, say us a little prayer, because I've never seen it this rough." We got that thing on the ground, and my suitcase had come out of the rack up here and was laying on the floor upside down over here. And mine wasn't the only one, but the
I got an
stewardess
airport
about turned
question,
green.
Joe.
Okay.
Do all airports have that pickle?
No,
Pickle?
not the. A lot of times
ball.
the uncontrolled ones don't have it. Usually it's just airports with ILS approaches and the bigger stuff. You know, the controlled fields with ILSs.
Yeah. And
Is there-
that's not the same as a carrier, but
No, it's different, but that's what
the idea
that
is the
guide.
same.
It's a visual guide to get you on flight track, and that takes you 1,000 feet down the runway. It's where
Yeah.
that's aiming you. That's why it turned red, 3 reds when we got low. I like to land on the end. It's okay to be on it out there, but as I get closer, I want to pull the power and keep my smashing light and land on the end.
Oh, you got the approach system with red and green lights.
No, it's got 4 whites or 4 reds. Red over
Yeah.
red, you're dead. White
Yeah.
over red, you're all right. And 3 whites,
Yeah.
4 whites, you're high.
4 whites, you're out of sight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
They put those in probably in, 82 or 3 out there.
Yeah.
And
We
they
had 'em
work.
here
You
since
know,
the
if you get your
70s.
power set in the flaps, and you can just work the power and leave your trim alone, and flight right down there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you hit the ground when you hear the tires chirp.
If you hit the ground without flaring that fast, it's going to bounce.
Oh,
It's
shoot,
gonna
yeah.
bounce.
Well, it's gonna, everything I've flown come into Smith Reynolds, there's no worry about flying in the ground because you got to come over the trees and then drop it. So you know you're gonna flare.
Joe had a 35 and a 37.
Oh, what?
Landings. He gave me a 37.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Joe's still the only guy, as much judging as I've done, he's the only guy that's ever got a 40 out of me.
Oh, I did.
You sure did. He's
Cool.
the only one ever got a 40 out of me. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. Because I've been to a couple training classes since then, but I'm gonna tell you what. In that wind and as choppy as it was, I just looked at Sparky and said, dang. Oh Lord, that was interesting.
What airplane was it, Phil?
You was flying your little blue
Cavalier
in classic. And you did I think it was a hourglass. And the corners were perfect. And I just knew you was going to blow that last corner, but you didn't. It came out at 4 feet.
That
And
airplane flies good.
I looked at Sparky and said, dang, I haven't seen many of the PA ships do that, let alone a dang classic. That was impressive.
That's a good little airplane.
You're a heck of a pilot. Dirty old man, but a heck of a pilot.
No, I'm not no dirty old man. I got the same old women for 48 years. I ain't changing now.
Well, I got 49 years. I got you by a year.
No,
you ain't that kind. You ain't
46. I lied. 46.
You ain't that kind of dirty old man. Thank goodness.
She takes good care of you. She launches your airplane.
Dang right. You don't know you know how much she helps me, dude. She coaches me. She schools me, and it's so cute. That somebody be somewhere and they go, boy, that's a great flight, Joe. And she just keeps her mouth shut. Then she gets off in private and said, you did this, this, and this. You got to fix that. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for not telling everybody. Shoot.
Yeah.
I get
She
the
can't
same
tell you
thing,
how to
Joe.
fix it, but she can tell you the shape of it. Say again.
I get the same thing, Joe.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good for you. You got to have somebody schooling you. Just
Most
because what you
definitely.
see is not what's out there sometimes.
Yep.
We go flying, and I got 4 people that do that to me, and sometimes one of them sees something and the other one don't, and another one sees something different. You try to listen to it all, and it's just okay. This flight, I'm listening to this one. This flight, I'm listening to this one.
It's better just to try to fix 2 or 3 things, not 14.
I
Pick on
try
the
to
big
fix
stuff.
1 or 2 things.
Yeah, but don't tell somebody 14 things. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Tommy will see something, and if Tommy sees it one way and one of the other guys sees it another, I kind of lean on what Tommy said.
I'd probably lean on
because
Tommy.
he's the one who taught me to fly. You know.
At the 2017 team trials, I was flying my one Blue Max. And I was out there practicing. Blanchard's over standing next to Colleen, and we landed, put back in the pits, and we was talking. And I said, "Really, I did that?" And John says, "Don't believe her. Just keep doing it wrong. See how it works out for you."
Yeah, right.
Just keep doing it wrong. Let's see how it works out for you.
We used to have a guy here. He lived in South Carolina, but he come up here. His name was, well, I ain't gonna tell you his name, but anyway. But he come up here, and it didn't matter. He'd finish a flight, and you'd be over judging the next flyer, and he'd come up to you and spin you around. Won't you? What was wrong with my? What was wrong with my hourglass? What was wrong with my vertical 8?
It stuck.
Oh
said,
my,
that's all I
that's
could-
no good.
I told him, I don't care. And if you bother me again next time, you'll get a 0. And I turn back around, work on what I'm doing. I said, this is not the time to be asking me questions.
No.
And he did the same thing he's done the same thing to Tommy. He's done the same thing I've seen him do it many times. But I was real glad.
Error.
That was one of the few people. I have never really been glad when somebody quit flying. But when he quit flying, we all kind of breathed a sigh of relief.
Shit, if you don't fly anymore, tell us who it is, man.
No, I can't do that.
We're on TV. Don't do that.
No.
It's
Maybe
hard.
next-
I can't remember what somebody did. You know, you might have a memory of something, but you can't.
Well, I can't remember it
Exactly.
either.
Or I
No,
can't. I can't.
No.
Maybe you can't, but I can't.
No, after a bunch of flights, and somebody would come up to me and say, "Why did you score my horizontal eights like that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Because that's what you
Dude.
got. I can't go back
I ain't
and
trying to
tell you
hurt you.
what you did.
I
I'm
can't.
sorry,
No,
but I can't."
I could go watch you fly and critique you in one flight if you want to
Right,
dislike.
right.
I can't.
Right.
I can't tell you who wins even after a contest.
No,
I
I
don't
can't either.
know.
I just put down what I see and I have no idea what it adds up to. I couldn't tell you who won. I have judged the 4 guys that I fly with because I was having a problem and couldn't fly that weekend. I think it was my neck. And I judged them in a contest. And one of them asked me later, how was this not as good as that? I don't know now. I mean, fly it and I'll tell
Judging's
you what you're
hard.
doing
I
wrong.
think it's
I think it is
difficult
too.
to judge.
But I went up and critiqued him one flight and I think it was a week later and I took a piece of paper and just wrote, I had one of those score sheets like Randy Smith uses at the stunt school at Triple Tree. And I just wrote down what he did every flight, just got a drawing of the maneuver and what it's supposed to look like. And then you do what he does.
Yeah, that critique sheet.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, those are
And
great.
when they do something that looks like 2 eggs
Yep.
instead of 2 circles, I mark them down for it. And they
Gary
sometimes
Hayes
don't like
asked me after the contest, says, "Why did I get a 29 on that maneuver?" I said, "Because you almost hit the ground."
Yeah. Well, we got a guy that comes and he'll ask the judges before old time flying over. Okay, I'll try to quieten down a little bit. We got a guy that comes over and he'll be flying old time stunt and he will be having a pilots meeting. And he'll ask the square 8 or let's just say the horizontal 8. He said, "Now are we supposed to fly that? Are we supposed to fly that like this? Or are we supposed to fly that and get vertical?" I said, "The book says you attain vertical. If you go and do and okay, and you go over and you have to explain it to him about 3 times, and then he'd take that and you go on. Will you get in the contest? He'd do the dangest lazy 8 you ever saw."
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how many pilots have not read the rules recently.
I don't think some of them have ever read them.
Well,
Hey,
they would
guys.
have had to at least once, but
No, they do what people tell them to do.
I'm going to
They
close
don't-
out YouTube. Give me a second. I appreciate you guys out there in YouTube watching. If you want to join the after party, you got to go into Stunt Hangar at the bench and click the link, and they stay on until ever how long they stay on. So like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you Friday. Fair winds, tight lines. See you. Yes. God, we actually got out of there right this time.
all right.
Okay, I done learned something.